Develop a strong mind and you will live a strong life. If you only ever listen to one thing I say, listen to this. Develop a strong mind and you will live a strong life. A strong mind is built from feeding it with positive thoughts and learning new things every day. Not every now and then, not for a little while, every single day. A strong mind is built with daily gratitude. When you are grateful for everything you do have, you have no room for negativity, no room for doubt or anxiety. A strong mind is built with goals. Goals that give you a reason to get up out of bed and attack the day. A strong mind is built from knowing you are responsible for your life, your results, your success and your failures. A strong mind is built with learning new things every day on topics that expand your mind and develop your skills.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's video, and the topic of discussion is mind viruses, and today we're going to be talking about patterns of focus. Now, this is a really interesting topic and one that I can talk about for some time, but mind viruses are so important to understand. If you do not deal with the viruses in your mind, it's like you won't be able to get anywhere. It's like you're going to be driving with the parking brake on, but you're trying to go forward. The mind viruses that I'm going to be talking about in this series are the areas that are trying to detract, hold back, restrict, or pull your focus away. And in today's topic, we're going to be talking about focus. And the reason we're talking about patterns of focus when it comes to mind viruses is there's a lot of areas in our lives where we experience self-sabotage, procrastination, distraction, delay, hindrances. When you deal with these types of issues, I really want us to come back to these three categories, right? So I made a post earlier, this was probably earlier this year, but it was talking about your self-image, your self-esteem, and your self-confidence. So your self-image is characterized by the phrase, I think, meaning I think this about myself. This is the image that you have in your mind about who you are. What the image in your mind that represents who you are. That's the first part. The second part is going to be your self-esteem, which is really focused by the statement, I feel. How do you feel today? Are you filled with esteem? Are you esteeming yourself? And the third topic is going to be around self-confidence, which is characterized by the statement, I act. So the actions you take, the actions you perpetuate in your life are going to be fueling your level of self-confidence and how you act. So I want you to just keep those three in mind, and we're going to come back to the topic of mind viruses and your patterns of focus. So when we think about common reasons that we tend to put things off, I'm going to keep those three in the backdrop. So one common reason we don't do the things we say we're going to do is, a common one is, I don't feel like it. So of those three, which is it? Is it self-confidence? Is it self-esteem? Is it your self-image? I don't feel like it has to do with your internal emotions, your internal state of emotions, which has to do with your self-esteem. Now, the other one that constantly comes up is fear or doubt. Fear or doubt. And so fear or doubt, fears tend to live in that area of self-image. Why do I say that? Because when you look at how you look at yourself as confident, somebody who is capable, when you think of yourself as somebody who is going to get it done, there is no other explanation except I'm going to get it done. It's done. That is your self-image speaking. Your image of yourself is one who is able to fulfill on it. There is no room for fear. There is no room for doubt. Now, the other one that comes up oftentimes is abilities. Your reference experience. This has more to do with the level of confidence in yourself. Maybe you've never done it before. If you've never known how to swim and you get thrown into a pool, it's not a thought that you can't swim. It's not a feeling you can't swim. It's an inability to swim. That's a little bit different. That's a gap in your abilities. And that's where the third part comes into play. Self-confidence is the ability to say, I act, right? So I do swim. So when you think about the three things that I'm talking about with when it comes to mind viruses and your patterns of focus, I want you to be thinking about, where is my pattern of focus when it comes to these three areas? When it comes to my self-image, what do I think about myself? How do I think about myself? How do I relate to myself as a person? Am I confident? Am I strong? Do I walk with purpose? And then also, when you think about your self-esteem, how do I feel? Do I feel good about myself? If you're not constantly in a place where your cup is filled, you're going to be facing a lot of scarcity and a lot of lack, and you're going to be making erratic decisions. That's not the place you want to come from. You want to have your cup filled at all times so that you can make the best possible decisions when needed. And confidence, your self-confidence, your ability to act with what you know to do. There's a statement by the Marines: you don't rise to the occasions, but you fall to the level of your training, right? So what you have repeatedly done over and over and over again builds your self-confidence, your ability to act, your ability to fulfill on what you said you were going to do, your abilities. So going back to our topic, mind viruses and patterns of focus, I want you to really look at how are you sabotaging yourself in those three areas. How do you think about yourself? How do you view yourself? Do you view yourself with an inflated sense of importance? Do you view yourself as capable? Do you view yourself as loving? Do you view yourself as a giver? Do you view yourself as a taker? Do you view yourself as honest? That's your self-image. That's important. If you need a good book on self-image psychology, look up Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. The next area that you might be self-sabotaging yourself is the area of self-esteem. How do you feel? Do you esteem yourself, or do you loathe yourself? Are you miserable? Are you constantly in fear, panic, worry, doubt, anxiety, grief? Now, and then the third one I want you to think about has to do with self-confidence. What do you believe about your abilities to fulfill on your potential? Do I say I'm going to do it and do it? Or do I lie about my abilities? Because lying is actually a demonstration of lack of confidence. When you have to lie about yourself, when you have to lie about yourself or what you're capable of, you're actually not telling the truth. Your ability to tell the truth more and more and more demonstrates self-confidence. Now, you might be wondering, how does this all tie to patterns of focus? What is patterns of focus? Why don't you explain that to me, right? So essentially, your pattern of focus, let's think about that phrase. You may have heard it. It's been popularized by many, many self-help gurus, from Tony Robbins to T. Harv Eker. Energy flows where attention goes. You may have heard that phrase. Energy flows where attention goes. So similarly, this is what we call our pattern of focus. You may have heard this in philosophy. They say the thinker thinks and the prover proves. In psychology, they talk about self-fulfilling prophecies. So you want to be really observant of how you are using your pattern of focus. A horse with blinders on has a very narrow pattern of focus. A horse with no blinders is free to look any direction and go any direction and be distracted by certain things and get caught up in the whims and cares of life. There's a purpose for focus and there's a purpose for peripheral. But you don't want to get caught in too narrow tunnel vision. You don't want to get caught in peripheral, going infinitely. So if you're being controlled, if you're being pulled from one pattern of focus to another pattern of focus, to another pattern of focus, to another pattern of focus, you're not really in control. So when you think of that phrase, energy flows where attention goes, energy flows where attention goes, energy flows where attention goes. How strong is that energy if your attention is constantly going in multiple locations? So in this first video, we're talking really about your ability to focus and how there are mind viruses around that and how it affects those three areas we talked about: your self-image, your self-esteem, and your self-confidence. And you need to understand that as human beings, we are constantly inundated with hypnotic trances going on all the time that are influencing our pattern of focus, influencing us to look in this direction, to look in that direction, to pull up Facebook, to look at this YouTube video, to look at that TikTok thing, getting distracted left and right, left and right, left and right. You're being triggered by certain environmental stimuli that's redirecting your pattern of focus. So when your pattern of focus is diffused and it's everywhere all the time, how strong is that energy that's being directed? When you think back to that phrase, energy flows where attention goes, if your attention is flowing all over the place, how strong is your energy? And what does that mean about your self-image? If you view yourself as somebody who's distracted, somebody who's careless, somebody who is not able to focus, what does that mean about you? If you're getting some insights, journal on that, clear on it, shift your perspective on it. What does it mean about how I feel about myself if I can't harness my intentions? How do I feel about myself if I can't get anything done because I'm constantly getting pulled one direction to another direction to another direction? How does that make me feel? Pay attention to your self-esteem. Now, when it comes to your ability to produce, your self-confidence, when it comes to your abilities to take action and a measurement of your ability to take action, what does that mean about my ability in how confident I am in myself? If I cannot fulfill on the actions that I'm saying I'm going to do, how self-confident can I truly be? Do you understand how this is a mind virus? If your pattern of focus is not within your own control and it's actually being controlled by environmental stimuli. You do not want to be a creature that is influenced by stimulus response. I'm going to share some statistics now about attention span. So just in the last 15 to 20 years, right? In the year 2000, the average attention span was just 12 seconds. In the year 2015, the average attention span is 8.25 seconds. Is it any wonder that you're starting to see an increase of social media that is geared towards human beings to grab their focus, to grab their attention in 8 to 10 seconds? Think about TikTok, think about YouTube Shorts, think about Facebook Reels, think about how everything on the news is breaking news. How much breaking news can there actually be? Think about movie trailers. Think about how they've condensed an entire movie down to about a minute to two. And they use a lot of cut scenes, cutting from one scene to the next, to the next, to the next, because they're trying to grab your direction, trying to grab your focus. If you want to know more about how humans are impacted by their patterns of focus, I did make another video that is in this group. It's called Your Fate is in Your Hands. I highly recommend you watch that so that you understand the real impact of what's going on here. But let's also look about the impact of when your pattern of focus is not in your control. So we find that in life, we do have our forgetful moments. But some of the statistics that are coming out are that 25% of teens forget major details of close friends and relatives. 7% of people forget their own birthday from time to time. 39% of Americans have forgotten one basic piece of information or lost one everyday item in the past week. Now, just to show how many times we're getting distracted and how we're being brought up to be distracted, an office worker on average will check their email inbox 30 times every hour. The average user picks up their phone or smartphone more than 1,500 times a week, taking up an average of 3 hours, 16 minutes a day. On average, on the average web page, users will read at most 28% of the words during an average visit, and 20% is more likely. The average page visit lasts less than a minute, and users often leave web pages in 10 to 20 seconds. How many times have you heard that when you're going for a job interview, that all it takes is the first minute to glance at the resume and they know whether this person is a good candidate or not? Why do you think first impressions are so important on a date or when you meet people? So the reason I'm bringing all this up is because we can't just live in a life where our pattern of focus is constantly hijacked by stimulus, response, stimulus, response, stimulus, response. Otherwise, when it comes back to that phrase, energy flows where attention goes, we will not have the energy to fulfill on our goals, our dreams, and our aspirations. If your energy is being pulled, and I know a lot of people have different feelings about that word energy, but I want you to just focus on emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. This is why you feel very good when you're in a happy state, and you feel down when you're in a sad state. If your energy or if your emotion, which is your energy in motion, is flowing where your attention goes, what happens if your attention is being hijacked by stimulus, response, stimulus, response, stimulus, response? What does that mean about you? It means you must have some holes in your vessel and energy is just leaking through. Emotions are kind of leaking through. Instead of feeling happy all the time and having a cup that is filled, you're being hijacked by a little bit of greed here, hijacked by a little bit of fear there, hijacked by a little bit of sadness there, hijacked by a little bit of comparison and feeling bad and jealousy there. What does that mean about your ability to accomplish your goals and desires if you can't even focus on them? So I really want you to focus on this mind virus and the impact it's had on your life. How is that affecting your self-image? How is it affecting how you view yourself if you can't even focus very long? If you can't even focus or harness your goal and keep it in your mind's eye for more than 8 seconds? What is the impact if you can't feel good about your goal for more than 8 seconds? What is the impact if you can't take action on your goal for more than 8 seconds? Now, obviously, 8 seconds is the average, but for attention span, but this is why I bring this up, because most people are not living like that, I should hope, right? But did you know that about 100 years ago, our attention span was 54 minutes? With the advent of so much technology, we've actually fractionated our attention span, meaning that our attention is now going and flowing wherever there's a stimulus and a response, a stimulus and a response, stimulus and a response. That means our ability to keep our energy flowing in one direction consistently and constantly in a direction is now limited over this last 100 years on average. So I want you to look at the impact of this mind virus of where your pattern of focus is being hijacked so that you can get your power back. So I'm going to just lay out some questions and I want you to journal on this, and we're going to do some work on this over the next couple of weeks and months, but I want you, so if you're coming to the Pay It Forward Saturdays, I want you to come and ask some questions about what you got from this video, share what you're getting out of this, and we can work on this if this is something that's interest to you. But here's my take on some of this, right? Here's how I protect myself from this mind virus of things hijacking my pattern of focus. I want you to look at your mindset, right? So your self-image. Your self-image is one of them, right? So how do you view yourself? What is your image that comes up when you think about yourself? Are you a consumer or are you a producer? If you're a consumer, what does that mean about your pattern of focus? If you're a consumer, your pattern of focus, it's okay to be fractionated. It's okay to lose direction. If you're a producer, what does that mean about your pattern of focus? It means you have to be intentional. So this is why I know a lot of people talk about attention span. I talk about intention span. So attention span means how long you can hold your attention, right? But your attention means like it can be grabbed at any moment, right? So it can literally be grabbed at any moment because you've been conditioned into stimulus response. Stimulus response. If you're at the effect of stimulus and response, you are living in an attention span kind of paradigm, which is consumer driven. So whoever is grabbing your attention, that's where you are being driven to, and that's what you are consuming. If you are intention driven, you don't care about your surroundings. You are focused on what it is that you have in your mind. You have a goal, you have an intention, and your span of time that you're able to focus is driven by your intention and how badly you are going after your intention. How badly do you want it? That's your intention span. How long can you hold your intention in your mind and keep that intention? And if you're taking on this self-image, this identity of being a producer in life, you need to measure some of these things. Measure your intention span. How long can you create an intention and hold that intention in your mind? And then I want you to look at, from the perspectives of mind viruses, what are the things that are fractionating, grabbing, distracting, or replacing your intention? What is shifting your ability to focus? What are those triggers that are causing you to shift? And how long before you get distracted or jump to the next thing? Some people call this shiny object syndrome. What is the thing that is grabbing your attention and replacing it? Grabbing your attention and replacing it. Furthermore, when you think about the areas of self-confidence, how long can you hold your intention while taking action? Sometimes people set an intention, I'm going to lose 20 pounds this year, and they go to the gym once, and then they think about going to the gym again, and then they say, well, I'm off to a good start. I don't need to do that anymore. And then that's about as long as their intention span lasts. How long can you hold your intention while taking definitive action? And notice what's impacting your ability to take action. What are the areas where there are mind viruses affecting your self-confidence, your ability to take action? Do you need people cheering you on? Do you need people holding you accountable? Do you do your best work in isolation? Do you work best in a group setting? Do you need a coach? Does positive stress motivate you? Does negative stress motivate you? Do haters amplify your ability to produce? Or does it detract from your ability to produce? Notice these things about yourself. If you're getting insights, journal on this, write them down, share it with the group. Come to the Saturdays, ask questions. Also look for yourself. How long can you hold your intention and take action while you have obstacles, detractors, or evidence against your success? That's a big one right there. So how long can you go with your intention in mind, taking action, while you have obstacles, detractors, or evidence contrary to your success coming against you? This whole area is going to give you your patterns of focus. This is going to give you, it's going to pinpoint out what are the mind viruses that are coming against you. So think about it again, right? Self-image is I think, self-esteem, I feel, self-confidence, I act, right? So when you think about these things, here's how I like to sum it up. When you are able to focus your attention, this now becomes your intention. It's strong, right? Hopefully it's strong. When you're able to sustain your intention over time, this is called patience. You're being patient with your intentions. You're being committed with your intentions. When you face adversity in holding your intention over a long duration of time, this is called resilience. You're now building your character because there's opposition to your goals and you're holding your intention over a long duration of time and there's opposition to your goals. There's opposition to your intention. This is building your resilience. It's building your character. And when you're able to achieve your goal, you will actually improve in all three of those areas I mentioned. Your self-image will expand, your self-esteem will grow, and your self-confidence, your ability to take those actions will improve as well. So when it comes to this idea of patterns of focus, here's what I want you to really, really focus on. And here's what I want you to take away as the practical steps, because these are the areas that I've identified in my own personal life that have been attacking my patterns of focus. This is the mind virus around focus, right? So when it comes to emails, messages, notifications, I want you to limit how frequently you check them. There might be some people that are important, so obviously make some exceptions where you need. But for the most part, you don't need to check all your spam mail. You don't need to reply to every single scam caller. You don't need to look at how many YouTube videos just came out from your favorite producer. Limit how frequently you check your emails, your messages, your phone, your computer. Limit the frequency. Now, in some situations, this might be harder at work. You're paid to respond to emails. But I want you to look at what's actually more effective: to fractionate your focus, stimulus response, stimulus response, stimulus response, stimulus response, or is it to check all your emails, get a lot of work done, then check your emails again, get a lot of work done, check your emails again, get a lot of work done? How effective can your work be if you're checking an email, getting some work done, checking an email? Multitasking is the generation that we're in, right? We are growing more and more into a multitasking generation, and it is fractionating our ability to focus with strong intention. And if you find this difficult, I really encourage you to look to other cultures, right? So in Jewish culture, they have this concept, right, in the Old Testament called Shabbat, right? And it was a day of rest. So think about what that's like to live an entire day of rest, where you're not inundating your mind with what's on TV, you're not inundating your mind with what's on your phone. Try living a day without your notifications going on. Try living a day where you put your phone or your computer, whatever is distracting you, away for a day. And if a day is easy for you, I encourage people to go on a social media fast every now and then. Every now and then, I go myself on a social media fast. It helps me disconnect. It helps me to take that time and set it aside for growth, for me time, for time that I can grow in a spiritual practice, right? Take some time aside where you're not getting your focus fractionated by the mind virus. Take some time to do a fast from news, television, movies, alcohol, drugs, gambling, any sort of addiction you might have. Take some time to do a fast from those things. When you split your attention or fractionating, you have a fraction of the true power that you actually had. Do not be a being of stimulus response, but you do have a choice every time to break that pattern, to break that conditioning. This is why I also advocate quiet time in the morning, quiet time at night. Some people like meditating for this very reason, because it allows you to not be distracted, to still your mind, and to keep your mind under a singular focus around your breath, observing thoughts coming in and not letting them control you or dictate where your focus is, but rather you harnessing your ability to control your focus. When you do this at morning and at night, those are the pivotal times where you're starting your day and you're ending your day with your mind under your control and not under stimulus response. Now, another way that you can really focus on cleaning up your mind viruses and eradicating those is look at what's making up your mental diet. Curate your intake. Look at what you're taking in. What am I consuming on social media? What am I consuming in the news? What am I consuming in music? What am I consuming by the movies I watch? Curate your intake. Manage your consumption. How much am I taking in? And at what frequency am I taking it in? Am I doing 6 things at the same time and getting distraction and enhancing this mind virus of hijacked focus? Or am I building a strong pattern of focus? I do one thing at one time. I work when I work and I play while I play. How are you managing your consumption? And then also focus on how you're going to grow your output. When you become a producer and your focus is on production, you take on a new identity, which is your self-image. You take on the identity of somebody who produces. When you are a producer, your focus grows. You feel better about yourself because you are contributing to others. And your confidence rises because you are now able to take action on the areas of your life that you're committed to, that you say you're committed to, and you follow through. You want to build and enhance that ability to, I think about myself, which is your self-image. You want to enhance your ability of, I feel this about myself, which is your self-esteem. You want your cup to be filled, not to be empty. And when it comes to, I act about myself, like I act on this about myself. I say it and I do it. You want your self-confidence to enhance. So I hope this video has helped you. If you find yourself being impacted by different mind viruses, I want you to message me or put a comment in this video and share with me what are the mind viruses that you're facing. And let's look at it through the realm of self-image, self-esteem, and self-confidence, and how we can impact those areas. And I invite you to bring it to the next time we do one of these Pay It Forward Saturdays. All right, thanks everyone, and I'll see you again in the next video, or I'll see you again on Saturday.
Growth is the key to life. If you are growing and challenging yourself every day, you'll lead a happy life. If you're not, you will suffer. The mind is like a muscle. It gets stronger when you embrace challenges, when you push it to its limits, when you learn what works and apply that to your life. A strong mind is one that surrounds itself with the right people. A strong mind does not let opinions alter its course in life. It follows its own path no matter what. A strong mind is one that visualizes success and is prepared to work to make that picture come to life. A strong mind does not let fear get in the way of success. Strong mind, strong life.
Zig Ziglar once said, if you are not willing to